This is going to be the Nigga Olympics #2. Now, I'm going to try to make this a quick one as well. Basically, I ended up being raised by my grandfather and my grandmother. Alright, now, my mother was around, but she wasn't interested in, well, I'm not even going to get into that right now. My father lived, not that he didn't live very far, but he also wasn't interested in being in my life. So anyway, my grandmother and grandfather raised me, and I lived in their house, which was a large 2-story house by a lake. It was nice, it was quiet, maybe 2,700 square feet. So I had a better life actually living with them than I would have living with either one of my original parents. So long story short, my grandfather died a few years ago, and he left the house to my mother. Now, I know that my grandfather left the house to my mother so she would leave the house to me in the event of her passing. You know, it only made sense because I was the one who grew up in the house, so on and so forth. Now, that aside, I was, after my grandfather, I was actually living in the Northeast, like in New England, in the U.S. So after my grandfather passed, I ended up moving out to California. So I'm out in California, you know, just enjoying life. And after my mother got the house, maybe a year or so after she had the house, she called me one day and she asked if I would be willing to come back because one of her sisters was living in the house, and the sister is like she chain smokes cigarettes, she drinks a 24-count box of beer every day, she doesn't do shit, she's lazy as fuck. She might smoke crack, I'm not really sure. She smokes weed all day, which I have no issues with marijuana, mind you, but she's the type of person that'll spend her money on beer, weed, and cigarettes, but she won't pay any bills. She'll just live off of anyone else, even though she's about 60 years old, maybe a little older than 60. So my mother called me one day and she asked me, would you be willing to come back here to this house because I want to move. I can't take, you know, I'm going to call her sister, what will I call her? I don't know what the hell I'll call her. Amy. She says, I can't take, no, I'm going to call her, Amy. She says, I can't take Amy's bullshit anymore. You know, Amy was pulling guns on my mother. Mind you, while Amy was living in what is now my mother's house, she was pulling guns on my mother, drunk, you know what I'm saying? Saying, oh, I didn't know who was coming in with a key, that is. I didn't know who was coming in. I got my gun out just to, you know, in case. So anyway, she wasn't paying any utility bills. She didn't pay anything. She was just basically living off my mother for free, like she had lived off of my grandfather for free for the last 10 years. And now she had retired from a job where she had worked most of her life. So my mother was telling me, you know, I can't take the BS anymore. I gotta leave. I want to move. She told me, you know, if you'll come back here and pay the utility bill, you know, you can live in the house, you know, no issue. Now, like I said, the house is very large. My grandfather turned the, I think it's like a 4-car garage into an apartment of 20-something or 30-something years ago. So it's like a separate apartment with a separate entrance downstairs. Then there's your main level with the bathroom, the kitchen, the living room, a dining room, a den area, a eating area, and a bedroom. And then you go upstairs and there is 5 bedrooms and another bathroom and a large playroom. Now, in my opinion, this is a very nice house. Or it was when my grandfather and my grandfather were alive. My grandmother and grandfather were alive. So I talked to, I was a little bit suspicious because I can't trust my mother. She's just the type of person that I can't trust. She's nice to other people, but with me, she'll try to screw me over. And I was just thinking, why would you want me to be in a situation that you don't want to be in? You know, but my mother in the past has used me as a tool. She'll go into her toolbox and pull me out and use me for whatever is necessary. Then she'll go back to doing whatever she usually does. So I thought about it for a while, and I'm gonna tell you the mindset of logic that came into my mind as a man. I thought, you know what? I'm here in California. I'm paying I'll just say a non-blood relative. I'm sorry, not a relative, but someone who's not related to me. I'm paying them rent when I could, move back into the house I grew up in. My mother won't be there with her BS anymore, and I could pay her rent and pay the utility. Now, she didn't ask me to do that, but I said, I could pay the utilities and I could pay her rent, to help her out and be doing something for my own family. You know what I'm saying? Rather than paying someone else's kids college tuition for their books every month, right? Which is what any normal adult male would do. Let me just make sure my microphone stand is all set. So, I also contacted one of my cousins. Now, mind you, I was living in California, but I'm gonna say my mother was living in my grandfather's house, which was, I'm gonna say right now, was in Florida. So I contacted one of my other cousins in the North Florida area, and we had a discussion, and he and I decided to buy 2 houses and see if we could flip them, buy them for cheap at a tax sale, and see if we could flip them for a profit. Let me just make sure my microphone is all set. All right, this is good. So we decided we were gonna buy 2 houses and see if we could flip them for a profit, and we did. If anybody has any questions about that, you can let me know. So since he decided that he wanted to buy houses in the area, I made the decision that I'm gonna come back to Florida from California to make an investment, in these properties and see how that goes, rather than just coming back to pay a utility bill, because that would have really been a waste of my time. So all in all, I decided, I said, you know what? I've been living on my own. I think I was about 28, 27. I've been living on my own since I was about 18, 19. I said, you know what? I'll go back and get the house in order, take care of things, and bring the house back to what it was when my grandmother and grandfather were there. So I decided I would come back and help my mother out, right? So again, I'm gonna try to make this shorter. So I come back. I go into the North Florida area, for maybe 2 or 3 months at a time, working on these 2 properties. Having subcontractors come in, people come in to fix and set up HVAC, and having plumbers come in, all the things you do when you're fixing up a house, having inspectors, all that. And a portion of those 2 or 3 months, I was going back to Central Florida to what was now my mother's house. Now, mind you, my mother as soon as I came, my mother moved. She got a luxury apartment, so she chose to leave a free house and go pay $1,200 a month for an apartment. All right, fine, that's her business. Now, she left my drunkard aunt there. Now, I wasn't aware that my aunt had become my aunt was always irrational, but I wasn't aware that she had become completely unaware of reality. She was just so far out there, and at her age, as a senior citizen, I just found it completely ridiculous. Anyway, I'm gonna call her my Aunt Amy. So I get back to the house, and Aunt Amy is trying all of these scare tactics. She starts pulling guns on me, you know what I'm saying, and all this crazy nonsense whenever I come into the house. If I, walk out of the house early in the morning, she'll pull a gun on me when I come back in, and I ended up having to tell her in the first 3 or 4 weeks when I was there, she pulled the gun on me twice, and I told her, listen, if I ever see that gun again, I'm going to drag all of your shit out of this house onto the curb, and you're going to be living outside on a porch, or you're going to have to find some place else to stay. Don't ever pull that shit on me again. I've told you time and time again. You might be drunk, but you're not that drunk, and you're not going to fucking kill me playing silly-ass games. Mind you, this is a 60-year-old woman. I don't like talking to senior citizens like this, but this is how you have to talk to this person. So, I don't know what she did with that gun, but I have not seen it again. She hid that shit. She didn't bring it out again. She understood that I was serious. So anyway, I start paying the utility bill. Now, once again, my aunt was having crackheads and hoes all over the house late at night. Like, she was having parties and shit until 10 and midnight and 1 and 2 in the morning on the weekends. Until I was like, listen, this can't keep going on. I don't know what you got going on here, but this shit has to stop. So that shit slowed down, But like I said, I was in and out. I wasn't there every day for the first 3 or 4 months. I was in North Florida, which was about another 3 hours away. So when I would come there, the parties would stop. When I would leave, the parties would go on and on. I was getting calls from other people letting me know, like, oh, what's going on at the house over there? I see the lights on. They're just getting off work at 2 in the morning. I was like, man, I don't know. It's like my senior citizen aunt is running the house like a fucking saloon in the Wild Wild West in the cowboy times. Anyway, so eventually we got through working on the houses. I came back to the house. Mind you, even though I was gone, I was still paying this utility bill for this 2-story, 2,500 square foot house. So the utility bill was coming in at $384, $375, $300 and change every month, right? So my aunt's still living it. Now, I didn't make her pay anything because, I was really pretty much running the house when I was there. So I was like, don't worry about it. I already made this arrangement with my mother. So in the end, these are the things that began to happen. Suddenly, the dishes would come up missing, and my aunt was hiding dishes from me, bowls and spoons and skillets and things like that, to the point where I was having to eat shit with my hands because she had hidden everything. So I let her know, listen, I don't know what your problem is here, but why are you hiding dishes? So she tells me, oh, well, I'm not hiding anything. You're throwing dishes away. So one day I come up on all the dishes. She's hidden them in her room. So I say, okay, fine. So I take a few skillets and put them away, so I can have things to use and cook with before she hides this stuff. I don't know what's wrong with this lady. So anyway, all of a sudden, I'm, washing clothes one day, and I pull my pants out of the dryer, and someone has taken an ink pen and scribbled all over the back pockets and sides of my pants, and you know what I'm saying, just like messing up my clothes, so, like something a fucking 6-year-old would do. But there are no infants that live in the house. Only this 60-year-old. I didn't say anything about it. I took my clothes and I put them upstairs. I had, other clothes. So my aunt started doing other shit. She started smoking cigarettes in the house. I told her, listen, don't smoke any fucking cigarettes in here. Go outside. So she started just doing things to try to test me to see what I was going to do. So eventually, I, just got past all of that. I got rid of all those crackheads and shit she would be bringing into the house. But anytime I'm going to go out of town, she would do the same things. Same people, same things. So it came to a point where I called my mother and I told her, listen, I want to change the locks on the house so I can keep a lot of these people out of here, and so I know who's coming in and who's coming out. I also want to, pay you rent. I'm also going to pay the property tax at this house. I'll also pay the homeowner's insurance, and any bills that come up, I'll take care of it. If anything, told her I was going to start fixing up the house, fixing up the flooring, the bathrooms needed remodeling. And my aunt was a very nasty person. She was kind of like a hoarder. So I was going to move into the garage apartment, but it was filled up to the hip with old clothes and beer cans and spiders, and it smelled like the inside of a hippopotamus's asshole. So I was like, I got to work on cleaning that up. I was pissed off about that. But anyway, now mind you, my mother didn't tell me any of that when she was telling me I should move back from across country. Anyway, my mother agreed. She said, yeah, you go ahead and change the locks. Do what you need to do. All right. I changed the locks. I cut a lot of those people coming from over there. Some of our relatives that were keeping up trouble, I stopped them from just coming in whenever they got ready. So my mother comes over one day. I've been calling my mother for about 3 weeks to give her a key to the new locks. She would never answer and never return my phone call, which is her common behavior. So I text her about it. She never said anything. So anyway, she comes one morning about 5 in the morning. She can't get in because I've changed the locks, with her permission, of course. So I go downstairs and let her in. She comes into the house cursing and yelling and screaming and telling me I should have talked about her before I changed the locks. This is her house. She pays the taxes. She pays this. She pays that. I shouldn't be in there just doing what I want to do. I locked her out. Keeping in mind, she asked me to come back from across the country to live in this house and pay the utilities. I offered to pay her property taxes. I offered to pay, the house is already paid off, so I offered to pay any expenses with the house, homeowners insurance. She didn't ask me to do that. I offered to pay her rent. She didn't ask me to do any of that. I offered to do that because I felt like, I've been paying white people rent. I've been paying Hispanics rent. I've been paying Asians and Indians rent all over the United States. The least I could do is pay rent into my own family and, help my mother out. Instead of being thanked for obliging to the offer that she has given me to come here and pay these bills, I get cursed out, disrespected, so on and so forth. So I told my mother, you know what? I said, my mother has done so many fucked up things to me and on my behalf, she doesn't make me angry anymore. I simply usually don't fuck with her. So I told her, you know what? I'm so glad that you behaved like this today because you really took a lot of pressure off of me because I was going to start paying all those things that you just told me that you pay. So I went ahead and put the old lock back on the door. Right then, I went ahead and put it right back on. And I let her know, well, I'm going to go ahead and keep paying the utilities because I told you that. Now, she didn't say anything to my aunt, which was drunk every day, smoking cigarettes in the house, having crackheads and holes over the house. My aunt had a roach problem I had to get rid of. She, like I already told you, that she was hoarding. I had to clean this house up like crazy. Now, she said nothing to my aunt, which was doing all of this shit to her house. But the person she called to fix the issue and help her out, she's cursing me and all that stuff. So I said, you know what, I'm not going to curse you out. So I said, thanks. It's all right. Like you said, you're paying the taxes and all that. This is your house. You're absolutely right. And you're going to keep paying the taxes. And you're going to keep paying the homeowner's insurance. And you're going to keep paying all of those expenses. So that offer's off the table. I'm not doing that anymore. Congratulations. And I told her, I'm also no longer going to pay the utility bill. Your sister, Amy, is going to have to pay half the utility bill. Since you feel that way, you or her is going to have to pay half the utility bill. You just, took the offer off the table. Now, I came back here to help you out. It's not doing anything for me. So, my mother got angry and she left. She apologized to me. She said she was sorry for being a bitch because this is how she behaves. She knows how she behaves. I told her, don't even worry about it. Just good luck. I wish you the best and take it easy. So she leaves. Now my Aunt Amy is feeling real good about herself because I came back, cleaned the house up, got the house in order, and instead of her being cursed out for fucking this house up, I'm getting cursed out and disrespected for bringing order into the house and trying to help my mother to stop her from struggling. So my Aunt Amy, she's, getting a big head. She's, laughing about it. She feels good about it. She's like telling people, my mother told me, she cursed me out and all this stuff. All right. As if I'm a grown man just living in my mother's house, freeloading off of her when she asked me to come back and help her. Okay. So anyway, at that point, my aunt realized how against me my mother really was. So she started using things and doing even more shit that I'm not even going to get into. Now, the last straw was this. Remember, this is the Nigga Olympics too. And I will explain why I call this the Nigga Olympics. The last straw was this. My aunt had gotten upset because I had put those skillets away because she was hiding all the dishes. So she went outside and flattened one of the tires on my car. Now she knows that I usually drive across a bridge, and the bridge is about maybe half a mile long every day going to the city, to like the sister city to the one that I was living in at the time. And, of course, it's over a body of water. So I was like, wow, this bitch risked my life just to be low down and nasty after all this time of me paying bills so she can fucking live. Mind you, my mother's a single mother, my aunt's a single mother. These are all single, bitter people. I'm single, but I'm not bitter. I'm feeling great, let me tell you. So anyway, all single, bitter broads. So I was upset about the behavior and everything that was going on. So I let my aunt had some security cameras around the house. So I let my aunt know, I know that you flattened my tire this morning. And she was like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. I said, well, I'm going to tell you what. I've tried to talk to you. I've tried to reason with you. You can't be reasoned with. So I'm going to call the police. Now, I know you guys probably think I call the police all the time. I don't ever want to do that. But this is something that I've had to see. These black females love to threaten that they're going to call the police. They love to resort to calling the police. So what I do with them is I pull the shit on them before they try to pull it on me. Right? So I don't want to ever call police, but it seems like if you don't knock the fuck out of some of these bros, the only people they listen to or respect the authority of is police. Now, I've had to put my 60-year-old aunt in her place on a couple of occasions. I've had to curse her out so hard and like just bring her spirits down, and I'm just not willing to do that anymore. For me personally, I don't like disrespecting elders, and I don't like disrespecting females or people in general. So I let her know, since you damaged my property, I'm going to call the police and file a report. When I said that, she went and took all the security cameras down. She got nervous. That's why I'm saying I knew she did it. So she thought I was bluffing. I didn't call the police that day. I waited to the next day. So the next day, the police show up. She thought it was over. The police show up. And he takes a report. He starts writing down everything. And my aunt tried to pretend like, oh, I'm mentally unstable. I've had a head injury. I hallucinate and imagine things. She also tried to say that things were coming up missing around the house as if I was a crackhead stealing shit. She also called my mother and had my mother talk to the cop on the phone and, say that I was confused and I didn't understand what was going on. And, she had also heard that things had come up missing. Mind you, my aunt was hiding the things that nothing had came up missing. My aunt was hiding dishes and shit like that. So she called another one of my aunts to say that and in the past I did have a concussion. She called another one of my aunts to say that I was mentally unstable and that I had a concussion. Now, the officer didn't believe any of this because as now, I was speaking in complete clarity. So anyway, the officer said in front of my aunt that, he asked me if I wanted to have her arrested right now. He said I could have a warrant sworn out for her arrest and have her arrested. So suddenly my aunt got quiet and she stopped telling all the lies and all the bullshit. So I said, you know what? Not this time. I'm not going to have her arrested this time. But if she does anything else, I am going to have her arrested. Also, I found she put a sheetrock nail in my tire. And in the washroom cabinet in the house, it was full of sheetrock nails. And there was also sheetrock upstairs. So anyway, after that, I had no more problems out of her. Which I knew that was going to happen. I knew the second that I called a white police officer over there, she was going to get in line immediately. So, long story short, I let my mother know that, I've tried to come. You asked me to come here. I tried to help you. I tried to fix everything. You've created problems. You've allowed your sister to create problems and do whatever she wants. So this is what I'm going to do. And like you said, this isn't my house. It's your house. So I'm going to leave and get an apartment. I'm not going to live at the house anymore. I'm not paying any more bills here. You're on your own. And so then my mother texts me telling me, oh, you're selfish. You need to stop damaging the house. I don't know what's going on over there, but you need to think about someone else other than yourself, so on and so forth. I don't know what she's talking about. I haven't damaged the house. I fixed things. Like I said, I cleaned the house up. I did everything I could to bring the house to, how it used to be before my grandfather passed. So I didn't respond to that text from my mother because my mother is the type that she has decided that she wants to see me as a negative, as the person that ruined her life. She's told me she wished she had an abortion over and over again, so on and so forth. So I simply blocked my mother from calling me or texting me. I blocked my aunt and a couple other ones who joined in and pretended as if, I had some type of mental issue and I wasn't able to differentiate reality from something that's not reality. So, they were all trying to gang up, with my aunt. But again, the officer didn't believe any of the bullshit. So anyway, I ended up moving and leaving. Now, What does all this mean? This wasn't just a long story to say nothing. This is why I call this series the Nigga Olympics, because see, in the Nigga Olympics, you jump through hoops of fire, you throw javelins, you run 900-meter races, a 900-meter dash, you run marathons and decathlons, you swim for miles and miles, and in the end, there's only yet another challenge waiting for you. There's no trophy, there's no reward, there's no plaque, there's no acceptance speech, there's not even a damn ribbon for you. You know how in field day in elementary school, just for showing up and participating, you would get a white ribbon. You know, the winner, like the first, second, and third would get like a blue ribbon, a red ribbon, and then like a green ribbon. And the people that just showed up would just get a white ribbon. You don't even get a damn white ribbon. You don't get any medallions, no bronze, no silver, no nothing. You don't even get a fucking golden chocolate coin. You don't get a goddamn thing except more tasks, more stress, and more of your time wasted. This is what I call the Nigga Olympics. Playing all these games, jumping through all these hoops, only to find absolutely nothing at the end. Another reason why I no longer play the Nigga Olympics. So I moved, I got my own apartment. Now I disrupted my entire life trying to help my mother out. So anyways, I got a short 6-month lease, and I left shortly after that. So I'm giving you guys this information, letting you know, like I said in the first Nigga Olympics video, sometimes you gotta let people struggle, even if it's your mother. You know, my mother, once again, she's another single mother. She chose to be with a thug. You know, I don't have anything against thugs. Let's put that out there. She chose to be with a dope dealer. You know what I'm saying? She ended up with a baby that she chose to give birth to. So now she has this issue against me, like I ruined her life because she got pregnant by a guy who had kids he wasn't taking care of, that she knew about. And he didn't do anything for me or her. Now, moving forward, if I had stayed my ass in California where I was, I wouldn't have had to go through any of this nonsense, deal with any of this nonsense. I could have kept that money that I paid her bills with and paid my bills with. You see what I'm saying? Once again, the lesson is, let some of these females choose to struggle. My mother was given a nice 2-story home by the lake. It was a lakeside home. No mortgage payments. She chose to go get an apartment for $1,200 a month, plus utilities. I'm going to say that again. She chose to go get an apartment that she doesn't own and never will own, and she chose to pay $1,200 a month. Meanwhile, she has a 2,500 square foot house that she only, I feel like the insurance on the house is probably less than $100 a month. All that plus the utilities is less than $500 a month. She chose to allow her drunk, drug addict sister to sit up in her house, paying nothing. This is the choice that my mother made. These are the choices that a lot of these confused single mothers of today make. Now, again, I will no longer be involved in the Nigga Olympics. I'm going to leave that to the experts. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, oh yes, like I said, I moved, I left. They're on their own. If the lights get shut off, whatever, I don't care. I'm never moving back to that house. I just have no interest in that anymore. Besides, I'm too old to be living there anyway, in my own personal opinion. I only try to assist my mother because she asked me. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and post them below. I'll be glad to respond. Thank you for tuning in.